Hop in the speed, let's go postal. I like the spots where there's not the known locals. The night is hot, we forgot the nose cocoa. Tell the hash chef we swerving through the bag. Fleet of suburban sipping bourbon with the yak. We don't deserve it, it's your nerves, we gon' react. Speak with the purpose, if you're nervous, then relax, baby, please. I do it with ease, I know you haven't had nights like these.
Alrighty, good morning, legends. Happy New Year. Hope you guys doing well. Welcome to 2026. I just realized this song that's from my playlist is the one that's used in all those TikToks and shorts. That's wild. Looking at chat, there already seems to be 10x the enthusiasm of my last stream. Holy shit, was it dead in here the last stream. And I mean, I think I was mentioning it to you guys, lowest view count that I've had since like early 2024, I believe. I actually looked at the YouTube analytics after the stream to make sure I wasn't just talking out of my ass, and I was pretty right about that. The second interesting thing that I saw was last month was my first month since starting YouTube. Now, this is absurd. Since starting YouTube, the first YouTube video I made was back in 2022. We're in 2026. Last month was my first month of losing subs on YouTube, which means, to me, that just means like people are just done with crypto, right? They're just like, screw this. I'm never going to watch another doc stream. I'm out of here forever. Or maybe it's personal. Hey, maybe it's on me. I don't know. But some decent kind of sentiment capitulation signals to close out December, close out the year. So it is poetic that we're having a green start to the year, right? It's just a big fuck you to all the quitters. It's the same shit I always say to you guys every single time. So I'm not going to give you the same speech because you guys are tired of hearing it. But good morning, everyone. Happy to see you guys in here. Let me scroll down. Yeah, Happy New Year's. I hope you guys had a great trip and holidays and everything like that. You pretending like that's not where you found the song? It would seem that way, no. But this is the same playlist I've been playing for like 2 years, and this is the first time I heard it. Like going like, oh shit. Still midnight in Indonesia, but I'm saying good morning on the doc stream, dude. It's always a GM in crypto. It's always a big GM in crypto. Crazy what a green candle will do to them. MF for 100%, man, 100%. So let's see if we can even break 100 concurrent viewers this stream, or if we're still dead across sentiment. Hey, maybe it's just me, man. I won't take it personally. Okay, let's get focused up. Real simple things here. I'm going to start with the bad news. I'm going to start with the bad news so we can talk about the good news, okay? Bad news is, same thing I mentioned to you guys back in October, November, right? When we lost the weekly trends, when we lost the yearly VWAP, when we lost the 365-day rolling CME weekly trend, everything of the sort, I kind of just said, guys, cannot make a high time frame bullish trending. Keyword is trending argument. I cannot make a trending argument. We had a absurdly good cycle. I know people are so down in the dumps on crypto and just being like, oh, this is trash. I should have done this. I should have bought stocks. I should have done whatever. I think there's some legitimacy to there, but you had to be a really good stock picker, right? You couldn't just, I think if you just bought Apple, right, you're not going to outperform Bitcoin or crypto or anything like that. You had to be very selective. You had to be in NVIDIA. You had to be in NVIDIA with full confidence, not just 5, 10, 20% of your capital. You had to be confidently in the rippers, right? So I still think the opportunity in crypto right now that we're done with 2025, and let's just say, let's put a bow on it. Let's say the cycle's done, right? Let's just, for the sake of the conversation, I still think there was more opportunity in crypto in 2023, 2024, and 2025 than there was in the stock market, than other assets, than real estate and whatever. So when people are asking me, you know, what are your plans in 2026? Are you diversifying and whatever? My answer is simple. I need a really strong conviction, core conviction in an asset, and then I can do something about it. I have two options personally. One is start from scratch, learn everything about the stock market, learn how, you know, fundamentals are. That's not to say I don't know anything, but I have to develop real edge there. Edge that I've already developed in crypto, right? So either start fresh and look elsewhere, or double down on what I'm already good at. And what I'm good at is trading Bitcoin, navigating high time frame trends, maybe picking the odd asset or two to do multiples a couple times a year, right? I get a couple good ones a year, and that's enough. I've got personal benchmarks to break, and as long as I keep breaking them, I don't really care, right? So that's what I'm gonna say about crypto, right? Coming back to what I was saying earlier, we had a giga strong uptrend from 15K to 120K carried by the weekly trends across all, time frames. That's been broken. That's been busted. If you're talking about it from a trend-based perspective, very simple, right? We lost the trend. There's nothing else to say. If we want to talk about it from more specific momentum basis, which I've been bringing up to you guys for a while, I think I did an outlook on this back in September. If I'm not mistaken, I think I did an outlook on this back in September before we hit all-time highs in October, talking about high time frame momentum loss, right? That played out. What was that conversation about? It was saying we put in a giga strong move, we put another giga strong move. This is the weakest move, right? Weakest move coming up at the top, retracing back into all-time highs. The full rally that we got fully retraced pretty much. Yeah, it's not, Pico bottom. We haven't touched the wicks or anything like that, but we cannot hold on to the pump. That is momentum loss. That is standard momentum loss, right? So from a price action perspective, from a yearly VWAP perspective, from a trend-based perspective, it's not that bullish. So the bad news that we're starting off with first is my bias is going to be that this is a lower high in the making. At best, at the absolute best, what Bitcoin can do over 2026 to prove me wrong, to say, hey, we don't have to go lower. Just maintain value in here for the entirety of the year, right? This gives us enough time, 6, 7, 8, 9 months of just doing nothing. This gives us so much time to reclaim trends, to put a new, fresh, bullish market structure, to put the daily trend back above the weekly trend, to get organized with the 4-hour up top, the daily in the middle, the weekly below, right? To build new value on our new yearly VWAP. We're in 5 days into the year. We don't have enough time yet. If we do this, okay, fine. We don't need to go lower. But it's way too early in the year to make that call. So for now, I'm treating whatever this push is as a reason to sell, to short, to hedge, to get out of assets that you guys may not want to hold anymore. Because it's just simple. It's ABCs. We've lost the trend. I don't think it's going to go straight to reclaim the trend, hold it, and then just continue. I think this is the lowest likelihood. Can it play out? Of course. Is it what you want to bet on right now? No. In my opinion, no. Okay? That's the bad news out of the way. Let's talk about the good news. The good news is the daily trend that has held us down from basically the Pico top. I think I already have this doodled in here, right? The daily trend that has held us down from the Pico top since 1010, right? We had one little deviation here, right? Rejection, 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 rejection. All of these, we are now finding a bid through that region, right? A core part of my trend-based system is if you break a trend, you're going to go to the next most dominant trend. The most dominant trend here would be the weekly trend, right? So daily trend to weekly trend gap fill. This is what I've been talking about on CT. I think we talked about this last week, if I'm not mistaken, as well. The last little price action or value-based kind of argument would have been the composite value area high. We've gotten a bid through this region as well. I think dips are for buying. I don't want to see price go below 92. If we go below 92, I think we're going to clean up some of the CME gaps. Let's point those out real quick, right? CME gap here at 90K, CME gap here at 89.7. So as long as you were above 92K, I think it's just going to be continuation up into the weekly. If I cough or sound nasally or whatever, I apologize. It's just coming off a little bit of a cold. Let me actually mute. Okay. Where was I? Sorry. Muted myself to cough. Okay. So we're above the composite value area high. 92K or 92K is the line in the sand, locally speaking. We can simplify it one step further, being as the hourly trend. I'm just going to go to a different chart so there's less drawings. The hourly trend has held since the yearly open, right? Every dip into the hourly trend has been held. As long as the hourly trend is held, is business as usual. We're going to aim for higher highs, right? On the local trend basis. When the hourly trend is lost, that is going to set you up for a distribution / correctionary environment. The downside target, you would hope, right? If we lose the hourly trend, you would hope that we're still going to hold above 92K composite value area high, and any dips into that region would be for buying, right? Any dips and reclaims. That is your optimistic look. If we cannot do this, we are going to clean up those CME gaps at 90K and 87K. So step by step, one by one. Hold the hourly trend, right? If hourly trend is lost, look for a solid reaction at 92. If we start holding below 92K, the CME gaps at 90K and 87K are open for business, right? That would be your correction. If the weekly trend is not tagged, let's say, hypothetically speaking, we've topped right here, right? This is the top for the week. The Monday, we know the classic Sunday, Monday push. That's the top for the week. We enter kind of maybe a little bit of a correction for the rest of the week. If that's the case and we don't hold 92K and we leave the weekly trend open, right? We don't fully fill the gap and we leave the weekly trend open. Hold on, let me find it. It's all the way up here. I would maintain that dips into 90K or 89K, 90K, 89K, 87K, which probably doesn't fill. I'd say about 90K would be for buying, and we look for that gap fill to be completed into 96, 97, okay? Once you get to 96, 97, now you're kind of pressed against resistance, and the 100K psychological level and everything. It's going to be a flow-based positioning argument at that point, right? That you're kind of just saying we did our job. We took price from 80K. We took it back up to 100K. That was the objective. Now it's going to be all about flow. The aggressive participants, if they're going to be able to eat through the walls, are we going to get spot unloading? It's too early for me to kind of guide you through that, but the same kind of arguments I make at the lows are the same arguments I'm going to make at the highs, right? It's basically going to be flow-based argument up there, okay? Is all that clear? If it's not, feel free to ask questions. I'm trying to give you guys a little bit more sauce than I normally do as far as like detail because, bad times, you guys stick around, you guys deserve more, right? Feel free to ask questions on that. 600K Ansem candle. 600K Ansem candle is wild. What is the Ansem candle? Shout out Ansem though. I saw Thread Guy glazing Ansem a little bit recently, maybe a couple weeks ago, and he is 100% correct. Like I didn't disagree with the word he said that I think Ansem deserves a little bit of credit for a lot of the kind of retail involvement in this cycle. The little that we had. Damn, Doc, tennis game is cooked. Didn't even list it under things I'm good at. No, I'm not good at tennis anymore, dude. It's been years. Years. Jimmy Max said disagree. What are we disagreeing with? The kind of lower high argument that I was making? I assume that's what you're disagreeing with. I'd love to hear a counterpoint if you have one. All right, let's go back, let's explain some of the sauce here. So back in November, I don't want to like toot my own horn, but I'm pretty sure I was the only guy saying this is what's going to happen, guys. We're just going to range. And why? Am I like just, giga braining this and coming to some wild fucking conclusions? No, I'm just saying the same thing. It shouldn't even be controversial. It's all Bitcoin does nowadays. We mark up, we range. We mark up, we consolidate. We mark up, we range. We mark up, we range, right? If I'm expecting a new downtrend, I'm expecting the characteristics to play out the same way, right? Last cycle went parabolic up. We got pretty fucking slammed on the way down, right? We didn't really go parabolic up this cycle. We went up, we ranged for 9 months. We went up, we ranged for 9 months. We went up, we got distributive. We're going down. We're probably on the way down, end up the exact same way, which is sharp down, long consolidation, maybe leg down, consolidation. Eventually you will get bearish momentum loss, right? In terms of like bad news, not really making lower lows, price rounding off at the lows, dead volatility, and then we go up kind of the exact same way. We just got a taste of this here to close out the year. Disagree with the more opportunity in crypto versus stocks. Gotcha. Thanks for stream, watching rest later. Glad I stuck with it. Created 2 systems of my own for my lifestyle thanks to you and the team. Love that, bro. Love that, bro. Drop base rally. Exactly. Exactly, right? So the bullish argument from here is just going to be time, in my opinion, right? So if we lose an hourly trend, it doesn't matter if it's an uptrend or downtrend. Let's say we're super aggressive and a coin, one of these coins, Monad, ZEC, whatever, is pumping really aggressively off an hourly trend. When that hourly trend is lost, let's call this a 50% rally. All coins are no stranger to this, right? 50% rally. If this is lost, what am I going to say? I'm not going to immediately be like, okay, tiny correction, we're going to put another 3x. There's certain environments where alts do this, 100%, right? But most likely thing that you want to bet on when a trend is lost is not immediate, reclaim, retest, and continuation. The most likely situation is you are going to come down to the next most dominant trend, SR, whatever, right? Form a little bit of a range, hold the next trend, maybe reclaim, and then you can get the continuation, right? This is in an environment where you have multiple stacking trends underneath you. Let's call this, the hourly trend, the 4-hour trend, the daily trend, the weekly trend, whatever. This is a giga bullish environment. Bitcoin multiple times this cycle has had environments where it's like, okay, we're losing the daily, we're losing whatever. We still have 365-day rolling. We still have the yearly VWAP. We still have multiple levels below that are long-standing trend-based bullish arguments, right? When you don't have those things underneath you, when you don't have any support left, right? Now everything's above you, right? Every trend is now above you. Yeah, you can flip the hourly, you can flip the 4-hour, you can flip the daily, but now you got the weekly to contend with, right? That's like your last standing, line of support, like this was for the bulls all these times, right? Now you've got it above you. So I think it's a tricky environment to just say, hey, reclaim continuation. So let's talk about that now. Yeah, you called the range super early. Credit where credit is due. Thank you, Nelly. Disagree with the more opportunity in crypto versus stocks. Agree with the big outlook. Okay. So how do we say this? The stock market has gone up only, right? So what are the ways to max extract from the stock market? You still have to be a decent stock picker, right? Now, let's just say you allocated blindly to 10 stocks in the stock market, maybe, the Mag 7, and maybe 3 random picks. Maybe you got a Palantir or whatever, right? If you do the math, right? If you're allocated to a giga strong asset like okay, let me put it this way. Let's talk about the benefits first. No work. You live your life. You're stress free. You got your job. You got your kids. You got your family. You got whatever. You got your career. You got school. You invest in the stock market. It went up a bunch. Maybe you 2, 3, 4x your money if you average out all the returns over the past 2.5, 3 years. I don't know what those returns look like if you've allocated blindly to a bunch of assets, right? If you have the discipline to just buy and hold and set and forget, great. You've done phenomenally. If you're someone trying to max extract and trade, you're going to fall into the same pitfalls you fell into in crypto. If you look in crypto and you just look at a bunch of assets, say Solana, Bitcoin, PEPE, I don't know how many other assets just kind of went, trend-based up only for a couple of years. You look at that in hindsight, you said, wow, if I just allocated the assets, I would be up 10, 15x. Now, you guys know the reality, being in here in crypto every single day, you're not able to have the discipline to stick to your plans. You're going to min-max, you're going to sell, you're going to buy, you're going to trade here, you're going to trade there. The same kind of pitfalls that you have in crypto are going to carry over to stocks, right? So you can't just magically think, if I was in a different market, I would trade it differently. No, you're the same human being. You're going to do the same things and make the same mistakes, right? The multiplier opportunity, free money opportunity in crypto is unmatched. Look at the amount of airdrop money that you get in crypto. You're not going to get in the stock market. You literally get free money in crypto just by participating. The amount of free money that I've gotten this cycle is absolutely absurd for doing nothing. Guys, I bought a couple Miladies and a couple Remilios back in 2023 summer, and I bought them after the top. I don't think they've ever hit a higher high. I can check a chart, but I don't think Milady's, I think they topped out on the Elon tweet. Like Elon tweeted a Milady meme and they went parabolic. And then I bought the dip after that around like 1 ETH or maybe a little bit higher, like 2 ETH or something like that. And they never went to new all-time highs, right? So I made a bad trade, right? I bought something that I thought it would go higher and I just held them for 2 years. Per NFT, because I was lazy back then and just like had money in one MetaMask wallet, one account, one ETH wallet, one over here, one over there. Whatever like little capital I had, a couple $1,000s here, like what I would consider dust wallets or whatever. I was just buying like some Miladies and Remilios. Now, when I came to airdrop season, every single one of my wallets was like eligible for airdrops. I was making like 20 bands per airdrop for like 2 years. Like, it's kind of absurd. That was my airdrop fund, right? A bunch of you guys did Hyperliquid, a bunch of you guys did, Lighter, this and that, left and right, up and down. I don't know how many airdrops we got this cycle. Solana season, meme coin season, right? There was a time where you could just buy literally any meme coin and make money. We had like 40 trending meme coins on crypto Twitter in 2024. We had so many cults and factions of people just shilling meme coins, and it didn't even matter what faction you were in. Those coins were going up by multiples. You had opportunity. You had legitimate narratives in crypto like Ondo, right? Like, hey, that's the BlackRock coin. You had free money narratives in crypto too. Like, hey, Trump's going to be president, just be long. Hey, the ETFs are coming, just be long. I think this cycle was extremely opportunistic. Now, just speaking for myself, guys, I don't talk about my own returns that often, right? Over the course of this cycle, let's talk about this. When I went full time, right? I'm up over 100x my net worth in the past couple of years. Do I think that I could have done that in the stock market? I don't think so. I don't think I could have gone over 100x. It's the volatility. It's the big mega corrections, the wipeouts, the liquidation events. It's having conviction in assets like a PEPE, which will give you a 70% correction to give you the compound. Hey, we're going to go up 10x, and then we're going to correct 70%, and then we're going to do another 3x, and then we're going to correct 60%, and then we're going to do another 3x. The compounding opportunity here does not exist in the stock market. This opportunity only exists in crypto. This is absurd, right? So let's put some respect on our industry's name. And when I look at these things and I go back now in hindsight and retrospect, and I'm feeling bad too, and I'm going like, dude, fuck crypto. The stock market would have been better. It would have been better. It would have been less stressful, but you would have had to maintain a buy and chill kind of mode. If you're a bad crypto trader, you are going to be a bad stock market trader. If you are a good crypto trader, you are going to be a good stock market trader. Right? There's no magical hey, I would have just done better if I was in the stock market. You would have if you were just going to buy the winners and just fucking do nothing. But if you have bad habits, those bad habits are going to translate. There's no magical kingdom where you're just going to be this, Chad trader in the stock market when you were undisciplined in crypto. That's my take, okay? That's my take. Let me scroll up a little bit. We're cooked selling the weekly diagonal resistance. I can draw a diagonal for you in a bit. Please do a fast outlook on lit, please. Absolutely. Give me a second. Is it true I see you and Magus have a different take on this for last Q4? So I think me and Mag had a little bit different. I don't know what his current take is. I actually had, I've been out of the country. I've been on vacation. I've had Christmas. I really don't know where Mag's standing on the market for the past month-ish, I'd say. I'm not going to lie. I bit somewhere in here towards the top and said, I maintained with you guys all year that I have zero conviction in alts. I have zero conviction in assets. I don't really want to put money in the market. I've pulled out an absurd amount of money. All of my money's in the bank. It's doing nothing. It's collecting dust. It's sitting in cash. I'm, making real world purchases, but I'm not investing in stuff, right? I bought a house. I did all this kind of stuff IRL, but I'm not itching to put that money back into, altcoins and stuff. When I was getting asked about altcoins in here, I was just trading. I was saying 9-month range. We went to new all-time highs. I certainly didn't expect us to go to new all-time highs. I thought we would find resistance at these highs, right? We got more and more bullish. And then we got towards Q4, which is where I got a little bit bull curious and flipped the script and said, hey, maybe there's an opportunity for us to get another face ripper rally. On the other hand, I was also telling you guys this looks like high time for a momentum loss. But that didn't stop me from speculating down in this region right here on some giga strong bullishness, right? We locked in some of that. I got hurt on the other bit of it, on 1010, right? I traded a lot of this year very well. I got hurt on 1010 like a lot of other people. So I gave some money back right here. But during that whole thing, my thing was trader mentality first, right? Intraday is my number one priority. I'm just going to trade intraday. I don't give a shit about asset allocation. Some of the money I made, I was said, okay, this is the lump sum of money that I'm willing to risk and take some more aggressive positioning on. I put that money in. I said, hey, this is the amount that I'm willing to lose. I lost a good amount of that on 10-10. That was my like risk managed approach to being very bullish. I think Mag was very bullish on Q4. I don't think he was like absurdly positioned. I don't think he had like altcoin positioning or anything. I think it was just Bitcoin positioning. But he was very optimistic on Q4. I think we differentiated there. But since then, I don't really know what our takes are and how different it is. Should show how many people retired off the HAL airdrop. I don't even know what HAL is. There you go, dude. NATO and variational airdrops. Yeah, hyperliquid airdrop. Yeah. Can you do ETH chart? Yeah, let me do that. Crazy returns. Yep. It was absolutely crazy returns, dude. Lots of us have made money at a speed that wouldn't have been possible trading stocks. Absolutely. Even if you full stack the S&P before the pump, you would never make much as buying PEPE early. No, yeah, exactly. People always start comparing crypto to stocks whenever stocks have a good year. I mean, stocks always have a good year. They're just kind of fucking up only. Look at small caps. It's just like crypto. Hey, you could be right. But here, what I would say to you is now for me, I'll just speak for myself. If I have to go trade now small cap stocks, I have to relearn a lot of stuff. It's not just going to be a one-to-one. Okay, day one I'm in. This is just like trading crypto. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make the same money. I don't know how they trade. I don't know how they're going to respect charts. I don't know how much of it is news-based. I don't know how effective they are going to be by, do they have their own influencers? Like, what's the meta over there, right? It's going to take a little bit of getting adjusted to, but I know there's a plenty of like low cap stocks that have been doing shit, like crazy shit. But then you could say the same thing in crypto. It's like even in dead periods over the past 3 years, we still had an on-chain meta, right? We still had people making a fuck ton of money in crypto on-chain. People say that crypto's cooked, just don't have the skill to extract money when it's not up only, and you can get a 10x by throwing darts blindly. Yeah, it's true. Do you all care about privacy in crypto? I care more about self-sovereignty and ownership rights and having my assets secured by my own kind of competence versus trusting someone else, right? So basically, like I'm a Bitcoin maxi. Privacy, I guess, like, the ZEC, Monero, that's always been a thing. There was once upon a time where I was looking at, Monero versus BTC, and I still chose BTC. I understand the privacy argument as far as transactions and stuff like that. It's legitimate, but it doesn't hold a candle to the fundamentals that Bitcoin has, in my opinion. All right, what did I miss? Check stream notes. You'll get a quick TLDR on mag stakes. Gotcha. If you can make it in prop firms, go for it. Yeah, Happy New Year, Adrian Slow Seat. Happy New Year. Bro, I had mid six figures. I'm barely 2x. I'm bad at this. I mean, that's still pretty good. You're still 2xing it. Here's the thing that I'm going to say to you, man. It's so dependent on like, okay, let me make a different kind of assessment. I'm playing Arc Raiders right now. I'm putting in a lot of hours. I think I already have well over 100 hours in the game, like actually playing the game, not just having like the app open. Because like Steam says I'm at like 400 hours of playing the game. I haven't played the game for 400 hours. But I have a couple, maybe like 200 hours in the game, 150, something like that. I have an absurd amount of hours in the game. If someone comes in and puts in less hours than me and is not as good, I don't call him dog shit at the game, right? If someone comes in and they put in 10 hours and they're not as good as me, they're not dog shit. They're not bad. They just haven't put in enough work that maybe, they don't have enough time. Like they got responsibilities. They don't have time to play. Same thing with trading, right? If you're someone that has been full-timing this and you're putting in as many hours as I am, then there needs to be a fundamental shift. Something needs to change, right? You are making mistakes. But if you're coming in and you're putting in 1/10 the effort that I'm putting in, 1/10 the hours, and your returns are still 2xing, I think you're doing great. You say you have a lot of cash sitting in the bank collecting dust. Are you going to diversify into a percentage of tangible investments, property, cars, watches? I'm not interested in cars or watches as far as investments go. I've been offered a bunch of these. So I have a friend who apparently, okay, so this is what I know about the watch game. It's just literally through my friend. And his best asset in life, his best skill set in life is his people skills. He's very good at talking to human beings, getting to know people. And through this skill set over the course of his life, he's met some high people in high places, right? And that led him one way or another to like playing poker in Vegas at a high roller table with like executives at Rolex and making friends with them. And he gets like access to the limited Rolex watches that come in. And they basically make him sign an agreement of like, you have to buy this watch. You have to own it for about a year or something like that. You can't quick flip it. He was doing this, right? He was making bank. So like what I'm trying to say to you is if I wanted like a limited Rolex, I have access to it. I can do it as an investment. I can hold on to it. Not even Rolex, like a bunch of other luxury brands. So I don't want to. Same thing for cars. I think for me, my main goal right now is to buy a bigger house. I've been on the market for it for a bit. So that's where cash is being reserved for. The next most desirable asset I want to own is Bitcoin. I want to own a lot more Bitcoin. I came into this market. The only reason, guys, that I am in crypto today is because of getting orange pilled in Bitcoin right here. Had I not spent this summer learning about Bitcoin and crypto in general, but mainly Bitcoin, I wouldn't be here, right? And my idea, I didn't have money back then, but my idea is I want to own a fuck ton of Bitcoin. And I started off with that. That was my like core holding was Bitcoin. And then I was like, dude, I need to make more money. And Solana's trading at like $15 and $20. Like, let me move. Yeah, we've traded Bitcoin a little bit. This is now moving over to this range. We've traded Bitcoin. I need to gigasend Solana. And the PEPE idea came up somewhere in April and May 2023. So I went out of Bitcoin, and my core net worth versus my Bitcoin holdings is embarrassing. Like, I need more Bitcoin. So I want to stack BTCs. So if they give me the opportunity to buy cheap Bitcoin, I'm taking that opportunity. That is where I want to, put my money in. I'd like to bet on Bitcoin again. Take a look at Anyone protocol. Ask Charlie about that. I know he's in that coin. Going for 3 figures this year. Good luck to you, sir. Been grinding. Arc Raiders got the Tempest blueprint. That's fire, dude. I've never even seen a Tempest blueprint. Ever played Valorant? I have not. I know Valorant pretty well, but I've never played. Talk about collectibles, sports memorabilia, game decks. What's hot? I no edge there, dude. I'm the wrong guy to talk to about that. Limited time Timex. Only write twice a day. That's hilarious, dude. I mean, I have a Rolex, but it's just, it's not. I'm not looking to like flip it or anything like that. Did you watch the legendary Sailor series with Robert Breedlove? I watched some of it. Not gonna lie to you, Sailor was the least impactful. Like, I did watch a lot of Sailor back then in 2020, 2021, but Breedlove was very strong. Orange pillar for me, but I think the strongest was Nick Carter. I read a lot of like Nick Carter articles and his blogs and his podcasts and interviews and stuff. Nick Carter is a very strong proponent of like why I got orange pilled. Breedlove was important too. I think Sailor to like a much lesser degree. Thanks for playing with that. Just figured some tangible investments we treated as a hedge to the Bitcoin stack in case Doomer scenario happens on Corn. Here's the thing, dude. Like, Doomer scenario happened, for me, in my opinion, Doomer scenario happened on Corn in 2022. 2022 was my kind of Lindy test in crypto, right? brother, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. You had the worst macro environment in the markets in like 30 years. You had record high inflation. You had a rate hiking cycle. You had QT. You had everything in crypto falling apart. You had FTX. You had 3AC. You had creditors and lenders falling apart. You had regulation coming in. You had everything that could go wrong went wrong with crypto. And Bitcoin still had, to that point, the easiest bear market as far as drawdown went throughout its history, right? It had 90%, 80%, 80%, and I think last cycle this was like 70 something percent, right? It wasn't even, I don't even think it hit 80%. To me, that was very clarifying, right? I don't see a worse situation than that personally. I don't see a more doomer situation than that personally. So I think it's like, bring it on as low as you want to go. I'm a buyer. You're not going to get me to like sell low, right? I remember a conversation I had with a guy back in, when was it? It was like summer of 2023. We were already at like 25, 30K. And he called me out. Like he was kind of like, I guess he was pissed about his own trading. But he was just like, you took a stupid trade at 15K. You had no stop loss. And I was like, yeah, dude, I bought spot because I wanted spot Bitcoin. He's like, yeah, but you had no stop loss. Bitcoin could have gone to zero. And I was like, well, that's just the difference between me and you. I fundamentally don't believe Bitcoin's going to zero, right? Yeah, I was fucking shitting my pants buying Bitcoin at 16K and 17K. Yeah, I was shitting my pants. And I was like, you're going to lose money. This is going to go lower, blah, blah, blah. But it just felt like that was the right thing to do. So when we went to 30K and that guy was sidelined, he was upset at me and being like, you didn't have an invalidation. It could have gone to zero. And like reluctantly was like, I was saying good trade. I think it's the same thing here. It's like, I don't know where Bitcoin's going to bottom at. It could be shallow, right? It could be 70K. It could be that range bound thesis that I gave you guys, but that's not going to be something that I will preach upon until 6 months from now. 6 months from now, 8 months from now, if we're still hanging around 80K, or ping-ponging or reclaiming, or putting in new bullish market structure on the daily trend above the weekly, above the point of breakdown, dude, I'll flip the script, okay? I'll completely just change what I'm saying. But until that time, I'm just going to want to, buy the FUD. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know if it's going to be 50K, 60K, 70K. I don't know. And I'm comfortable saying I don't know. I don't need to be one of these people that's trying to just giga predict the price and then collect clout and then ride that clout wave, dude. Those people have no skill in markets. I got a Rolex last cycle for the meme, but I can't wear it without feeling like an asshole. I'm basically homeless on a regular basis. That's hilarious, dude. I wear mine all the time. Do you think crypto moves as a whole this year? Even today, Bitcoin is up, many alts are down. I've said this again, I don't give a singular fuck about altcoins. There will come a time and space where I care about altcoins again. I, again, do not care about altcoins. The core focus is going to be Bitcoin. I'm going to trade Bitcoin like a motherfucker this year. I'm going to try to dominate this and trade the best I've ever traded. And there's going to be a time where I'm going to be allocating to Bitcoin, and then it's going to be, okay, let's focus up. Where can I draw some conviction in some altcoins? That's it, right? If there's an environment where we end up, where 2026 ends up just like 2025, and it's a trader's year, right? Maybe we go up, down, maybe we go down, maybe we're ranging, whatever. I'm not going to regret not trading altcoins. I'm just going to say, yeah, altcoins were a leveraged Bitcoin trading vehicle once again. There were outliers. There were the fart coins of the world. There were the hyperliquids of the world. Again, they did phenomenally well. Maybe I fumbled by not getting exposure to them. But if I'm doing my job correctly and hyper-focused on the trades that I want to take where my edge lies, then I've done my job and I'm happy. And maybe I ignored some alts. Who cares, right? I know myself, and I can't giga focus on everything. I can't do everything well. Maybe it's a flaw on me. I know that I can't do everything well. So my biggest mistake in 2025 was once again going split focused and buying some alts, and that happened to happen before 1010. Big mistake. Who wants a Rolex big house, nice wife, kids, Rolex is secondary? I 100% agree with you. House first, wife, kids, they're all important. I don't have kids yet. I'm not married yet. I need to work on that. Mind sharing your chart layout and indicators? There you go. Someone put trend in chat. So those are the trends. All the EMAs I use right there in chat, right? So you could just look in chat. Those are all the EMAs I use. Leviathan market order bubble is a free indicator you can use. What else? Visible range volume profile, free indicator you can use. Doc levels you guys can't get access to. That's a custom one that's private. But basically just gives me the shortcuts of a bunch of levels that I can throw on EMAs, VWAP, static. Can filter through the ones that I want, the ones that I don't want. VWAP suite, right? So, wow, what's happening here? There you go, VWAP suite. Here's your weekly. Whenever it'll load, here's your monthly, here's your quarterly, here's your yearly, right? This is something that we talked about last week as well, is rotating back into previous quarterly value will bring in the quarterly VWAP into play. Those are all confluent VWAPs, EMAs, values. All of these things are just so confluent with the levels here, which is why this has been really nice. So I have some spot position that I picked up on the capitulation or down here. I had spot that was hedged, removed the hedge, picked up extra spot positioning, and I'll be looking to hedge, close, TP into this move as we get a little bit higher. Sorry about the flashbang. Satoshi's wallet making sure it's not going to happen. I don't care about the quantum FUD. I don't care about Satoshi FUD. I don't care about Sailor FUD. I think the FUD, the core FUD, guys, this is the core FUD. The core FUD is if you're going to put the majority of your net worth in Bitcoin, you're going to put 80% of your net worth in Bitcoin or whatever, maybe your capital, maybe not your net worth, but the investable capital. If you're going to put it in Bitcoin, you better goddamn be sure it's the easiest high return play in the market, right? Meaning risk to reward, highest multiple return. Because if you're going to take the risk of allocating to Bitcoin, which is still to this day going to be classified as a risk asset, and you get outperformed by another asset, that's going to suck, right? So like this cycle, here's an example, right? If you full stacked Meta, which is the Facebook stock, right? You would outperform Bitcoin, I believe. Obviously NVIDIA, obviously Palantir, whatever, right? So for me, I'm going to pick Bitcoin because it's what I have conviction in. I don't have dire conviction in other assets like that, right? But maybe a play or two will come along that I have more conviction in than Bitcoin, and I will move that money laterally again. Like last cycle, I started off with Bitcoin, and then it became PEPE Solana, right? It became PEPE Solana in kind of early mid 2023. Right, it started off with a little bit of Solana, became a lot of Solana. It started off with a little bit of PEPE, it became a lot of PEPE, and it became like no Bitcoin. So I may treat next cycle the same way. That's your same argument. Stocks, altcoins, whatever. It's the same thing. For the sake of speculation, cycles are kind of done if we reclaim 100K. I don't believe in the 4-year cycle, right? I'm not going to play this off like a 4-year cycle. Yeah, we did top on the literal pico top of the 4-year cycle prediction. I get it. The 4-year cycle played out once again. We bottomed exactly when we were supposed to at the 4-year cycle. We topped exactly when we were supposed to at the 4-year cycle. We topped here and we broke trends. It could all be that simple. I'm still not going to play this on a 4-year cycle basis and say that we have to bottom in... what's the date going to be? September, I believe, of 2026. I guess that's when the projected bottom is going to be, September, October 2026. And then we're going to go up only for another 3 years. I don't know if I believe that. The sake of speculation, would this... let me get rid of all the junk so you guys can see things clearly. For the sake of speculation, if we reclaim 100K, does that mean, the bottom is in? No. Right? I don't believe that. I don't believe just trading to 100K here means anything. I don't think 100K literally means anything. I think what you would need to do, right, is you would need to come down, set a higher low, come back up, flip the weekly trends, make sure the daily 100 is leading the 200 again, and then get a daily trend above the weekly trend, and then start trading on the daily trend, right? There's a lot needs to happen. The way that I've drawn it is not going to happen because it's not going to be enough time, in my opinion, for this to happen. If it does, I think it's possible, but it's like the lowest likelihood scenario to play out. Just from a guy, if you take it from me as a guy that's been trading EMAs and trends and price action for a long time, the likelihood of this playing out is very low. Way more likely to see us going, okay, we're going to just ping pong, right? We ping pong, and then later we develop some bullish market structure and reclaim. And then in hindsight, you could say, hey, yeah, but Doc, we went over 100K here, and that meant, you know, whatever. Yeah, you could say that. But I can't give you, basically what you're looking at me for is going like, do you think if we trade up to 100K, that means the bottom is in and 4-year cycle's fucked and all that? I can't make that argument. So you're not going to get that from me. I don't have a simple if-then scenario of, hey, trading to this price means X. No. It's going to be a structure-based argument for me. It's going to be a time-based argument for me. Okay, people asked about alts. I've been chit-chatting in here for a bit. Let's go through some alts real quick. We'll do ETH, BTC, ETH. Someone asked about LIT. I apologize for making you guys wait. So let's start with ETH. I'm using the dark charts today. I much prefer the light charts, but yeah, we change it up. Why not? Okay, so ETH was the first out of Bitcoin and a bunch of other alts out across the market to trade above the weekly trend. It put in a higher low. This looks like your classic kind of, people call this the Adam and Eve bottom, of a sharp bottom and then a rounded bottom. This looks like a really good bottom structure. In a nutshell, Bitcoin looks like a phenomenal bottom structure as well. Both of these look like really, really, really good bottom structures. That could surprise some upside targets, right? I still think that whatever it goes to will be a lower high, but the way this looks really good. Extremely thin, inefficient move down, right? So we could, you know, overshoot some of the local targets. We could overshoot 100K. We could get to 105. I would love that personally because I'm spot long. So send it as high as possible. ETH BTC held the weekly trend, I believe. I haven't looked at ETH BTC in a long time. Okay, it's not holding, but it's been crabbing at the weekly trend for a long time, right? Crabbing. The main trend for ETH has been the daily, right? The daily was holding the entire way up. The daily was holding the entire way down. What changed here? When we got a break above the daily, we got a really nice pop. Has the daily provided any kind of uptrend structure so far? No, it's completely flattened out. So therefore, for me, neither one of these trends, daily or weekly, are that beneficial at this point. It's not really an uptrending asset. It's not a downtrending asset. It's a range-bound crabby asset. We are drifting up, which leads me to believe there could be a little bit of ETH outperformance over BTC again, right? If ETH outperforms BTC again, the ETH upside targets are pretty simple. It's going to be new swing high, so basically taking out this high, and then we have last year's, okay, wait, let me go to the VWAP scan for this, a lot cleaner. We're going to have previous quarters VWAP coming into play, which is about 3,500, right? That's above this swing high right here. That's going to be the next most difficult place for ETH to break through, right? Swing high and right here. As far as the structure goes, looks pretty damn good. Let me go to the trends real quick. Let's look at the most dominant trend on here. ETH, as well as Bitcoin, has been respecting the hourly trend since the yearly open, right? So once again, the ETH argument, the Bitcoin argument, the exact same thing, which is hold the hourly trend, continue betting on up, lose the hourly trend, assume a bigger correction is in place. We already talked about the Bitcoin targets. ETH target's going to be pretty much synonymous, right? What was the other one? Lit? I have not looked at this. I know you guys got airdropped this coin. Actually, we looked at this last week. Somebody asked me about Lit, and I basically said my meta for brand new coins has just been buying the TGE. So when was TGE? Did this work out for anyone, or was it a bad strategy? When was my last stream? It was literally Monday, right? Last week on the 29th. So I don't remember this candle in the chart, so I'm assuming it just nuked to zero. Put in an accumulation and is reversing, right? Big inefficient move down, accumulation range formed, fresh bullish market structure. Let's put in a little bit of a volume profile here and see. I assume we're breaking out of value. You're breaking out of value. What's the most dominant trend so far? 15-minute trend, most dominant trend at the moment, right? Defend 15-minute trend. You're trading outside of value. Do not want to see this drop below the 15-minute trend or 280. That's going to signal localized kind of trend exhaustion of whatever the move is that's happening locally. That would be the way that I would trade lit if I'm in lit at the moment, or trying to get a position in lit, which would be 15-minute trend, whatever. Are you targeting a number of Bitcoin or funds deployed into BTC? How much of that have you deployed? 0, right? So the way that I look at my money, how do I do it like this? Okay. Let's make 2 pots. When I started, we're going to say it was like this. It was like, this is how much money I had IRL. This is how much money I put into trading. I basically stacked the deck into trading as much as I responsibly could to have enough runway, right? Trading literally filled up this entire box. Like, I'm not going to waste your time with all these dots, right? But it basically filled up the entire box, and now it kind of looks the other way, right? All this money is kind of IRL. And the way that it looks right now on like, I can, mental math kind of perspective is like 10% of my money right now is in trading, 90% is in IRL assets, etc. Right? Net worth wise, only 10% of my net worth right now is in trading accounts like ledgers and everything like that. God candle on Bitcoin. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I need to redeploy some of this capital. Not all 90% is coming back into crypto, right? We're not going to go 100% back in here, back to 10. It's not going to be that irresponsible this time around, right? A majority will stay in here. What it'll take for me to get Bitcoin allocation will be lower BTC prices, right? Or core conviction in asset. I just need to develop conviction in something. Then I don't care about all these price fluctuations and narratives and FUD and everything like that. Like, I developed conviction in Solana. I didn't care about the narratives. I didn't sell when Robinhood delisted it. I didn't sell when, hey, FTX, whatever is, what was the whole thing that was happening with the FUD of like, people are getting OTC Solana at a discount and they're going to get unlock dates and all this. Those things weren't FUD events to me, right? If I don't know anything about an asset, those things you FUD you out of a position. I didn't care when the PEPE wallet got hacked and the devs sold like 80% down. I'm not going to care about Bitcoin FUD. I'm not going to sell my Bitcoin when USDC depegs in March of 2023, right? All that FUD is meaningless to me when I have core conviction in an asset. But this money has to come back in, and it's going to mainly go into Bitcoin unless I develop core conviction in something else. Would you typically expect to see a shakeout or two after the recent move before Bitcoin can make a decent move higher? No. Bitcoin, when it trends, does not let you in. That is one of the most kind of classic things in Bitcoin. Like, look at all the trends that we've had. Where are the flushes, right, for continuations higher? If it wants to rip, it just rips. 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 That's what Bitcoin does. It doesn't give you this deep, cushy, comfy entry. If you lose the hourly trend, it's gonna correct, and it's probably not gonna be a dip that you want to bid until you bring targets a little bit lower. For now, you're holding the hourly trend. It's probably just gonna keep sending along the hourly trend, and it's gonna make it really difficult for people to bid. So if you don't have an intraday system that allows you to bid intraday, you're kind of screwed right now on Bitcoin, in my opinion. Is it time to get bullish? No, the time to get bullish is all the time when people are fucking off and saying crypto's dead and not tuning in for the streams. And when my stream can't even break 100 viewers last week, and people are talking about touching grass, and all the all the shitfluencers on CT are telling you, take some time off, don't trade the chop, don't trade choppy conditions, all this bullshit that people recite to you guys, the worst advice ever, by the way, that's when you get bullish. Dude, I have a tweet on the market every single bottom right here. I have tweeted essays and just calling people out for saying, oh, now's the time to touch grass. Now the time to touch grass. Don't trade the chop. Don't trade the chop. Don't trade this. Don't trade that. Every single time it happens, it ends up being a decent opportunity to be bullish. I think if you're exposed to assets right now, you look at this as like a de-risk opportunity, right? And if you have to, absolutely, I know there's going to be people out here that's like, I'm not comfortable in cash. I need to maintain core positioning in the asset, in the industry that I tune into every single day. I can't be sidelined. I can't have zero asset or exposure. All I would say to you is take the opportunity during this rally and maybe sell some of the dog shit in your Solana wallets and whatever wallets and be like, I never wanted to own this in the first place. It's just something that I got influenced into owning. Sell that stuff and maybe buy assets that you actually believe in. Maybe it's Bitcoin. Maybe for you it's something else, right? Just move money laterally. Use that time to do that, in my opinion. Pegu looks good in general. How much you expect a relief rally on alts? Reclaim. Let's see. I haven't looked at alts at all. Let's do this with you guys. So let's start with like total 3 or others or something like that. Let's see. Okay. So first of all, with total 3, it could never develop value above the 2021 all-time high, right? Both times that we got up here, we failed, right? This 10-10 wick literally happened right here, like the week that it hit new all-time highs on total 3, right? I'll look at others too. I know there's some differences between the two. There's no trending argument that I can make here. I'm not even going to make this on the weekly trend. Let's go down here and see. We have a gap at least, maybe. So here's your gap, right? Daily downtrend, compression, momentum loss, gap to the weekly. Does this mean that you should completely de-risk? Me personally, if I'm long from any of these kind of locations and I get a weekly trend tag, it's just good kind of discipline to de-risk, pay yourself, take profits, something on these kind of positionings and let other people break through, right? Let other people break through. So like the way that I would do it, right? If I'm like, I have to maintain positioning, I'd say, okay, you break, I defend. If we're just going to go crazy here and this is resistance, you break through, I will buy a shallow dip and defend, and we can go to all-time highs, and my invalidation will be dropping back below the level, right? If we drop back below, I'm willing to give back this much profit, right? If we drop back below, I can be bullish down here again. If we fail range lows, I'll cut my positioning. So I have locked in this entire move, right? We'll call it $100. I've given back $10 here, and I've given back $10 here. I'm still up $80, right, on this, just playing in a disciplined approach. Take this logic, take this idea, apply it to the altcoin of your choosing, right? I would play each and every altcoin the exact same way if I'm giga bullish on it. If I want to play continuation, I let other people break through resistance. I'm not going to be the dude that does that. Here's others. It's pretty much the same idea, right? So what did others do, right? Put in a high, reaccumulation, put in a higher high, reaccumulation, lower high, and full retrace back to the last origin. Let's get rid of these doodles. It's time. I don't see a single bullish high time frame argument here. In fact, I would say this looks terrible. If an altcoin looked like this over the course of a year, right? Some previously very hyped narrative looked like this, I would say I'll look elsewhere. I'll buy something else. I'll maybe not participate. Yeah, maybe I leave a little bit money on the table playing a rotation from range low to range mid, or maybe range low to range premium, but I'm chilling. I'm good. If this looks like this over multiple months and doesn't break down and then starts doing something like that, okay, that's a different story entirely. The way this looks, I don't see it. I'll look at Pengu. Wish I got to trade the holiday dip. You know what's funny is I traded, I was gone for, or not trading pretty much from here. I don't think, yeah, if I remember correctly, it could have been one of these from here until like here. this is when I like got home and I started trading a little bit. So I got to trade this chop. I got to trade all of this. And then this is New Year's Day, where I spent with friends and family. And the second I spent with my girlfriend. And then I did a little bit of trading on the second. And then I don't really trade weekends. And then we took off, right? So I don't have any perp positioning off this move right now. I traded this very well. I got 23R return in my variational account on this. 23R trading this. So like, don't trade the chop my ass. Whatever. Yeah, but I did miss this. I don't have perp positioning for this. I just have spot positioning for this. How about you touch some buttons, motherfuckers? I'm stealing that, dude. Let's go. Grass is for dorks. Absolutely. Could you take a look at Wolf? Sure. BCH has not hit a new low since that fateful day in October, unlike all coins. I have been hearing rumors of BHC for a while, and I think every time I look at this, I agree with whoever talks about it, and I say, yeah, it looks good. What was I saying last time? I think we did talk about this last week. We're talking about the daily trend, I believe. Maybe I have a doodle on the light chart. Shield your eyes, brethren. No doodle? No doodle. Okay, if I have to try to remember what I said, I probably said you don't want to be bullish at range highs. If you have to take positioning on this, take a positioning at the daily trend. So that's probably what I said last time around. This was the 29th. Don't position at range highs. If you must position on BHC, position at the daily trend. 23R, that's better than 99% of annual TradFi. So here's the thing. Here's the core difference. It's not 23R of my total capital. It's 23R of the trading account, right? The trading account isn't the total capital. I'm not full sending my entire kind of trading capital. I have a couple different accounts, swing accounts, hedge accounts, intraday account, scalp account, and then I have a kind of, what's the right word to call it? Not a practice account. It's like a testing account. It's like if I want to action new ideas, if I want to use a new tool, if I want to get new data, I do it in that account, right? So I have like 5 active accounts at the moment. So it's not 23R total capital. It's 23R of the active trading account, the trading account that I was trading in the variational account. I think I was showing you guys on CT. It was like 7 for 7. I took a screenshot of it. You see the entries and exits. They're not even big moves. Like a bunch of them are $400 moves. A couple of them are like $1,000, $800, $1,000. The most recent one was this one. We bought the dip here, and I just TP'd on the way up, and I was like fully out by Friday. That was it. Bought the dip here, TP'd by Friday, didn't trade the weekend. I mean, literally, this could have been a generational entry at 87, and full stack hold this, dude. The account would be 2x'd in a day. But hey, we didn't hit that. Hitting us with the Bandai Namco flashbang, dude. Yeah, I've been showing you dark charts all day. Sorry, we'll stay on the dark charts today. How do you even look at that chart clearly? I nearly died, bro. The light charts are just superior. When dark charts get messy with a lot of lines, they look like ass. When my light charts, and I have a bunch of lines on this, it just looks clean to me. The trends don't look obtrusive. Everything just looks clean. As long as I maintain like hygiene and delete doodles and stuff every once in a while. Dude, also, it's just the change that's blinding you guys. I always stream with the light charts. You ever dabble with props, like prop firms? No, there's no point. The only reason I have a dark template, this is the reason I have a dark template, is when I would lay in bed at night and open my laptop. My girlfriend goes to sleep at a normal hour, like a normal human being. But for years, I would transition from the desk to the PJs and lay in bed and then continue on my laptop looking at charts, to come up with trade ideas, doing reviews, all this kind of stuff on my laptop. And the white screen just has too much light in the bedroom, right? Like the light that comes off the laptop. So I made a dark template literally just for her. That's the only reason I have a dark template. I've tried this out a few times on streams and public. I just don't vibe with it the same way I vibe with the light charts. Okay, I'll stop flashbanging you guys. That was a mistake. I didn't do that on purpose. Are the indicators you use public? The trends you can make yourselves here. Trends are here available for you. You get dressed to trade. I mean, I switch from comfy, loungy sweatpants and clothes in the day to even kind of shittier clothes at night. Like old washed up t-shirts. I don't sleep in nice t-shirts. I'm not gonna like sleep in a t-shirt I spent more than $20 on. All the t-shirts that I sleep in are like basically fucking rags. Laptop do I have? 14-inch MacBook Pro. I think like M2 chip. Okay, so back to the question. So, okay, I have to go to the light chart now. Everyone close your eyes for a second. I have to go to the light chart to get all the indicators, okay? It has to happen. I'm sorry. Market order bubbles, public. Just write this in. Look, pause your screen, write that in. EMA, SMA, I just need it occasionally when I want to look at a different EMA or SMA than the ones that I have hyperfixed on the screen, right? It's not necessary. The main ones I use are the trend, the daily, and the weekly. Again, exclamation point, trend in the chat, and you'll see the trends, right? Non-CME highlighter. This is a custom one that is not public. It highlights the CME gaps, right? So all the gray candles you guys see here, this is weekend price action, right? Gray candles, CME close. Sometimes it's New York, sometimes it's, you know, holidays, Christmas, whatever. Sessions closed, right? Dock levels I already showed you guys. Again, not public, but can, you know, if I just want to remove all of these from my charts and quickly see where the levels are, there you go. Weekly value area high, weekly VWAP, all these show up here, right? Real quick and easy. Visible range volume profile. That's the gray stuff you see on the side here. CME gaps, right? Once again, they just quickly highlight where this stuff. I just delete this, right, for you guys. You can see a small faded line. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. I can see it clearly, maybe it doesn't come through the screen. Small dotted line right here, just telling me exactly where the CME is. I make it a little bit bolder, but it just makes it quicker and faster for me to find it. VWAP suite. I don't often use the VWAP suite on my main template because I find it too messy to have all the VWAPs overlapping one another, the weeklies, the monthlies, whatever. So I have a separate VWAP scan, right? Weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, right? Shows you previous values, current values, developing values, and some rolling VWAPs, right? Then we've got the low time frame template, which I almost never talk about in the public stream. Low time frame trading is where I trade nowadays, right? This about a year now, consistently, I'm just trading intradays, right? So 1 minute chart, what's necessary for me to trade is the daily VWAP and the weekly VWAP. I need both of these. All horizontal lines are just drawings. Ignore them. Open interest, you can use dollars, you can use, you know, coins. It's personal preference in my opinion. Paragon volume suite, buy, sell volume. Definitely need that. And then again, market order bubbles, which are nice but not necessary. TPO you can ignore. I'm not really actionably trading TPO. I needed it for a few levels down here when we were basically running on fumes. We had nothing to go for and we're crabbing in a 1,000-point range. I needed a little bit there, but not something you're going to see me using regularly. That's about it. Delta candles, you know, those are all the tools. Some of them are available publicly, some of them are not. Some of them you could find kind of copycats of, maybe online. Some of them are purely mine, some of them are paragons, some of them are public. It's all a mix and match. Can you share which volume profile indicator you like the most on TradingView? I mainly just use this one that's built in, fixed range volume profile. And the other one is visible range volume profile. It's also like one of the trading view ones, visible range volume profile. Those are the two volume profiles that I use. You can use PVP, which is right here, periodic volume profile, which you can just fix to a certain time period. So if you put PVP on your chart and you click one day, you're going to get your volume profile from the daily session and it'll automatically close and a new one will open on the new daily session. You can put it on weekly and you'll have the weekly profile, monthly, quarterly, etc. So if you want a periodic volume profile, you do that. This is a visible range volume profile, but mainly the most actionable one for my trading is fixed range volume profile, which makes it a little bit discretionary, right? I have one down here for the 1,000-point range that we were trading. That was our breakout on Friday and Saturday, new value being built. Did not expect us to fully gap up all throughout the weekend and continue on Monday. GG's to anyone who's been trading this over the past 2-3 days off the H1 trend. Now I'd say just continue trading off the H1 trend. Just joined. Do you think Bitcoin won't go to 82 and 86K anytime soon? I wanted to buy some for long-term, multi-year, decades. I think it will go to 82 to 86K over the next... Yeah, you will get to buy 82 to 86K, in my opinion. If you want to buy 82 to 86K, I think you'll get that opportunity to buy it. The turbo bottom... This I can say with 99.9% confidence. This is not the turbo bottom up only. Will never be revisited again. We're going to Valhalla 200K. You missed the bottom. The bear market doesn't exist. I don't believe in that. If the market wants to prove me wrong, it's happy to prove me wrong because great. Like we're just going to make a fuck ton of money. If that was the bottom and we go up only, we get a brand new 2-year bull market. Fantastic. If we just have to continue trading the chop, great. I'll just keep stacking chips. I just don't believe, I don't believe in this. So yeah, the likelihood that you get to buy 82, 86K again and possibly lower, very high in my opinion. Shouldn't CME gaps no longer exist because it'll open 24 hours a day starting in 2026. I thought the CME is going to be 24 hours. It's still closing, right? I thought it actually started in December, so I was led astray. As you can see, there are still CME gaps from the weekends. So and as long as they're here, I'm still going to care about them. They will be gone and the edge will be gone. Notice how I only started talking about CME gaps with you guys about a month or two ago. I did not talk about it with you guys the entire year of 2025 because I don't want to share my edge publicly with everyone. When I find them, I'm keeping them under wraps. When I know that they're going to disappear, have at it. Feel free. You guys can use them too. You ever play Monday's range sweeps? I don't find that the most reliable setups. That's something that I had in the kind of playbook arsenal for a while, but I don't think it's the best setup out there. Whenever I see other people tweet it, okay, now this is going to be secondhand. It completely not, scientific data. But anytime I see it on my feed of someone posting a Monday's range setup, it never plays out. It's always a trade idea that never comes to fruition. So, hey, more power to people that make it work, but it's something that I haven't used consistently a long time. I think there's very rare value. So this is where discretion comes in. Systemization means that you're going to take the same setup as long as it has positive expectancy again and again and again with no thought process, completely like a monkey, right? Every time monkey see, monkey do. Discretion is you're going to be able to pick these plays when you think the time and place is right? So there's a few times a year that I will trade Monday's range because I think that we have nothing else going for us and this seems like a decent trade setup and they've got some confluences left, right, and center that I can add to this and use. But yeah, I don't wake up Sunday or whatever, Monday and go, okay, let's wait for Monday's range to develop. Okay, it's Tuesday. I can't wait to trade Monday's range. I don't trade like that. How do you choose where to set the visible range volume profile? When a range starts to form, right? Or you have high conviction in a range. I said to you guys, like over here, the range is starting. So that was where my range started, is right at the start of this range. Can you share some alpha on what are your triggers to get into a trade? A lot of times for me, it's talking about overlapping confluences as far as the location goes. Could be a VWAP, could be an EMA. Positioning, being aggressive into that location, whether it's a long closing their position and just being like, I want out, or it's a short opening, or it's spot selling and not being rewarded, or perps closing and not being rewarded. It's aggressive participants pushing into a location and failing to break through, right? That's the essential trigger for me. You can see this on price action alone. You can see this using open interest. You can use Agger. You could use order book depth. You can use footprint. There's a lot of order flow tools you could use for this, but that is the base case of my kind of trade execution. Mainly trade mean reversion. A lot of the mean reversion sharp reactions have turned into momentum loss, which has been a different kind of tool and trigger of looking at people who are putting supply or, bidding the market have stopped. Counterparty reactions is picking up. Price is going from a sharp decline or sharp incline to a more rounded off top or rounded off bottom. That is momentum loss, right? So learning the tools and triggers of these is basically around flow. And the flow argument is the person that is trying to move price directionally doing a good job at doing so, or are they failing to do a good job at this now, which makes me want to possibly inverse them if price is in a location that I already wanted to trade. Does that make sense? Got a dip? Later, Jack. I think 60 to 70% of gaps fill in indexes. Let me give you a stat, Mr. Smith. 100% of CME gaps in 2025 on BTC filled. That is not a mistake. 100% of CME gaps in 2025 filled, and there was like 300 of them or something. You could make the argument that it's 99.9 because this CME gap was at December 11th, 2025, and it actually filled in January 4th. So technically, this didn't fill within 2025, but it filled 4 days later. So the actual stats are going to be 99.9% of 2025 CME gaps filled. You think Bitcoin can go to 82 to 86K in the coming weeks, or it'll be a while, months, next cycles? I know you're not at Oracle, but I think it's within Q1. Yeah, within Q1, you'll probably see 82 to 86 again. $2x views to like ratio, no good. Like the vid nerds, it's good reps for clicking buttons. I appreciate that, Nelly. Yeah, I don't. Hey guys, I'm down. I lost 14 subs in December. I lost 14 subs. Are there 14 of you guys in here possibly that are not subscribed to the channel that maybe want to hit me with a subscribe? Are there possibly, potentially, maybe, perchance 14 people in here that are not subbed that maybe want to drop me a sub? That'd be super cool. You can buy the dip on the account. Let's say you get really bored from this game in the next couple of years. What's next? I have to find something that inspires me once again. The thing that I found with trading that it's never happened in my life is I was able to match hard work with passion, which I've never been able to do before. I loved tennis. I loved medicine, but I didn't have this insatiable passion to make it in both of those things like I did with trading. It just wasn't even close. I would be lucky in life to find that again. Do I think that that's going to burn out completely? That spark's going to dissipate in trading and go to zero? I don't think so. I think what's more likely to happen is something else catches my interest in a strong fashion and then I pivot away slowly. Do I ever think that I'm going to be zeroed out in markets and never do this again? No. But if I think that like I just have no passion, I'm putting in no effort, I'm not doing the prep work, I see other people that are hungry, they're looking for edges, and I'm out here just being complacent. Dude, it's over for me as a trader. I'm not going to be able to make money in markets anymore. Maybe I'll make money from just a positional standpoint of like asset low, I buy, asset high, I sell, right? But the trading edge is going to be gone, right? If people are hungrier than you and they're finding edges and you're not. I don't know what I'm going to do, though, if that happens. It's always a possibility. The thing that's keeping me motivated right now is going, bro, it's 2026. You just completed your first official cycle in crypto. Like, I survived 2022. I got to see the light of day in 2023, 2024. I sold the top in 2024 on the assets I had the highest conviction in. I changed my life for the better. I learned a new skill set in 2024, 2025, which is intraday trading. That has helped me maintain a sense of like calmness throughout all the chaos in 2025. And now I have new goals of, okay, well, you're good at this. You can do this. How much money can you make now? Never once in my brain since this may sound like bullshit to some of you guys, but I'm just gonna be honest, right? All I ever am is transparent and honest when it comes to my trading, right? I'm my own biggest critic. You hear me shit on myself when I do stupid shit. I have never once come into trading going, I'm going to make millions of dollars. I'm going to be a billionaire. I can't wait to have 10 figures. I can't wait to have 8 figures. I'm going to have $10 million. I'm going to have a mega house and a yacht and drive a Lamborghini and have an AP watch. And those things don't come across my mind. I'm not money obsessed like that. I just want to do well. I want to be good. That is the driver. I want to be good. But this is now in 2026. My brain for the first time ever is going, well, you can do good. Why can't you make more money? Right? It's kind of absurd that I'm like 5 years in and now I'm thinking about that of like, okay, but how much could you make? Like, you just got to bet a little bit more. That's it. You just do the exact same thing that you're doing. Just bet a little bit more. Don't change anything. Don't discretionarily size up and size down based on your gut feel. Just standardize your sizing higher and higher and higher and higher, and let's see what happens. And that's exciting for me. So I don't see myself getting burnt out in 2026 because that seems like it's gonna be pretty fun. Any advice how to re-enter if currently sidelined? Both longs and shorts feel kind of risky right now. Asked this before, but I don't think I heard an answer. Yeah, you probably didn't get an answer because I don't remember reading that. I would say the number one thing that you want to do right now is look to bid dips if you get confluence of the H1 trend plus the daily VWAP, right? H1 trend has been goated, pretty much been carrying this since 87K. We're at 94K, 7K move across the hourly trend. If the hourly trend is lost, you know you're going to get a deeper correction. That becomes your line in the sand based invalidation. Where is the high side target here, right? You could say these high sweeps that are basically a couple $100 away, or you could look for the proper target, in my opinion, which is going to be the weekly trend around 96K, right? The way that you play this on a trending basis is you look for confluences in the hourly trend, and if we're trending up on a daily price action basis, which we are, the daily VWAP is going to go from being flat to being sloped. You look for confluence in the daily VWAP and the hourly trend. Right now, let's just hypothetically say it comes up to 93.2, right? 93.2. Do you have any kind of hourly trend confluence there? You do, right? That's the place you want to bid. That's where place you want to see price hold. It is a bonus if you see people closing their positions into this location, getting forced out, open interest dropping, longs closing, and then you see books getting thicker. So I haven't even shown you guys books all day today. Let's move over to this monitor and say, hey, look, we know we're giga stacked against asks. We know the bulls got to continue being chads, but hey, what's happening here? The bulls are actually being chad. Price is being led by spot. It's being led by spot. It's being led by spot. It's being led by spot, which is very impressive, and we love that. I want to go back to this. Hold on. If we get a dip, can we get bids coming in to defend price at least locally? We know that we're in Giga Chad bear territory, but you can break through Giga Chad bear territory as long as you still have strong bidders. Right? So we need the bidders to continue bidding. We've been in bear territory since 90K, but we continue to get spot bidders. It's the orange marks that you guys are seeing down there. Spot bidders, spot bidders, spot bidders. Agger showing you spot bidders. You're not seeing people coming in and just giga unloading spot. You're seeing spot chads coming in. So as long as that price action and aggression is being rewarded, price is going to continue going up. When that script flips and you start seeing spot selling plus heavy asks, it's going to roll over. Again, this is stuff that I don't think I really ever talk about on the public streams, but I feel like anyone who's tuning in what I would consider the bad times that didn't capitulate, maybe gets a little bit extra education. Stepped away for a bit. Are you referring to the CME gap at 90K? Yeah, they were marked on the charts. Are you planning to trade BCH? Nope. Please do BONK, sure. BONK hit its objective. I guarantee you there's a daily trend here that broke, and then it gapped into the weekly. This is now resistance. You probably can draw a simple SR here, and that's it. That's resistance. I wouldn't expect much more than this. Like maybe you get some ranging and chopping in here, and then it rolls over, but that's it. The move was made. You want a daily trend, a weekly trend gap fill, you got it. That's it. You don't press your luck here for BONK. That's my personal opinion. You're going to want much more weeks and months of sideways to get kind of enticed to taking this trade. I would equate it to like this, right? This is kind of where you're at on BONK. So yeah, you can trade this chop if you want, but you're going to have to trade it from a lower time frame basis. From a high time frame basis, I think this is like where you're at. So like at best, you're going to just be chopping around like this. PEPE is the same thing, right? People are very bullish PEPE. I've heard a lot of PEPE stuff, but I would assume, I guess I even have the doodle here from over the weekend when I was drawing this. I would assume something like this on PEPE. Look, man, I am the resident expert on PEPE. This is like my baby. Yeah, that looks like extreme effort went into the lows and you got momentum loss and you're getting a kick back up. Yes, it looks like you're reclaiming the key SR that it dropped below. But once again, what PEPE has a propensity of doing is giga putting its move in a short time frame and then doing fucking nothing. It puts in 80 to 90% of its move in one candle, maybe two, and then it's cooked. So once again, you put in like a 2x move. What did it do? 88% move over 14 days. You caught this, you're good. You don't really need to press more. Maybe you can get some nice volatility of 5, 10, 12% rotations intraday on PEPE. I guarantee you Charlie's going to probably be printing out the ass on this thing, or maybe another coin that has equal or better volatility, but that would be my high time frame kind of take on this. 2026, the year he goes bust. You wish, buddy. Do you feel like time has passed faster since you got into crypto, or crypto has wrapped your sense of time? So 2022 to 2024 were the de facto longest years of my life. I feel like I lived 10 years of life in those 2 to 3 years. 2025 went by pretty quick, and why? Because I put a lot less hours into crypto in 2025. It was like it went from 18 hours a day to maybe 8 hours a day in 2025. Significantly decreased. There was some odd days or weeks where I was locking in heavily, but 2022, 2023, and 2024 felt like I lived 10 years in 3. I already did lit. I was talking about it. Lit. It's like 15-minute trend is what you want to pay attention to. Thoughts on CCUSD reclaiming the 4-hour trend, but I think it might be cooked. Cooked, and this is going to the daily. Yeah. I would say the same thing. I would say very strong 4-hour trend. Started to get a little bit distributed on the 4-hour trend, so you're holding the trend, but you're not able to push into higher highs. You lose it. This now becomes range at best, downtrend at worst, right? So I would do something like this. I would say that's the high that you can't get above. Here's probably the next best low. Here's the range that you develop. Yes, it can press higher, but now you trade this like a range-bound asset. You could even take this to here, right? So it's not to say that it can't make new highs. but you are no longer trending on the 4 hour, right? Good example for, you know, when Bitcoin loses the hourly trend, you don't just immediately say it's going to go to zero. You say the first most likely probability is for it to be choppy and range bound, right? That means you just trade it based on price action. You don't trade it based on trends. So now you just kind of say, hey, there's your premium, there's your discount, there's your daily trend. The 4 hour trend is no longer useful to me as a trading asset. The lowest EV thing I can do is try to bid the 4 hour trend here, assuming it's going to do this. When a trend goes like this to doing this, you don't just use it as an SR and say, I'm going to short here and I'm going to long here. Flat EMAs are just basically useless. Pump, ZEC, ENA. So I covered total 3 a little bit ago, and that basically tells you everything you need to know about everything. Pump, ZEC. So ZEC I think is an interesting one. Let's cover ZEC. ZEC I think is going to be a very good swing trading asset for a little bit longer. I don't think this immediately goes to zero. I don't think it's going to new all-time highs. I think it's providing you a lot of swing trade opportunities. I think if you just look at kind of this correction, let's take this high and take this low. Let's draw a little bit of a mid-range. You're right around mid-range right now. I think you look for short swing triggers at a premium. You look for long swing triggers at a discount, and you maintain that it's probably going to be range bound for a little bit. That's the way that I see ZEC on a high time frame basis versus other coins that, you know, I think are in downtrends or whatever. I think there's 2 parties of ZEC that have very strong voices. One is this is giga trash, this is bullshit, this is going to go to zero. I can't wait to short this from $700 back to $15, which is why I was very vocal up here that, hey, you're not going to get the short that you want. And I think there's the other counterparty that's like, this is just the correction number 1, just like we had other 30-40% corrections, and it's going to go to $1,000 and $10,000 and $5,000, and it's the next Bitcoin. I think both of those parties are wrong. I think who's more likely correct is probably the bears. I still don't think it's probably going to go back to $15. It probably makes a new, I don't know, floor at $100 or $200 or something like that. Probably is repriced a little bit through this fiasco. But I don't think it's going to be easy for either party. What are the other coins you mentioned? Pump, I think you said. I don't think there's anything really bullish about Pump yet. You're reclaiming significant lows, right? So here's your lows. Here's your lows. This was the market structure break. I believe we talked about this on last week's stream. I can't remember. I know I had Pump doodles somewhere at some point. Okay, so let's see. Are you respecting the hourly? Okay. So hourly trend from 18 cents to 23 cents, right? Hourly trend broken. This provides to me a choppy range-bound environment, right? You could have even said it started from here. No longer respecting the hourly trend, starting to break. This is the price action that you get. Take that in mind. Write that down, write that down, write that down, right? This is what I talk about. When you break the trend, expect this type of bullshit rather than clean, you know, trending, sharp, aggressive price action. This is a very significant kind of resistance zone. If you break through here, right, because your prior lows, if you break through here, you're probably going to pop up to the weekly. Is there even a weekly on this chart yet? There's not even a weekly, not even enough data. I would say your next point of breakdown is probably in here. So TLDR, consolidation. If aggressive positioning through here, probably another trending move into, what is that, 27. If it fails, this whole thing's going to be distribution and maybe some high sweeps, and then it rolls over again. Those are the 2 things. Very, very kind of aggressive zone. Why am I taking the bear stance here? Because the closer and closer and closer Bitcoin gets towards the target of 96, 97, the more likely altcoins are probably at their local tops as well. Which makes it disappointing for some of the setups out there, because you have setups like Solana here where it has a full fucking gap available. You have a full gap available to 152. Right? You have the possibility of trading this gap, but it's not putting in that move yet, which kind of sucks. Right? The closer Bitcoin gets to resistance, more likely altcoins get locally top too. So keep that in mind when it comes to taking your positioning and stuff. Any thoughts on XPL? I think the only thing noteworthy on XPL is it broke the daily trend for the first time since it launched, right? So daily trend rejection, rejection, right? Breaking through here, I think, is a first positive character shift for XPL. Same thing you can say for the 12-hour. Rejection the whole way down, breaking the 12-hour. First positive trend or character shift. So what's XPL going to end up doing, guys? Is it going to do this? Probably not. It's probably going to start doing this. I made a tweet like up here or something like that. That was like, if XPL loses the 4-hour trend or the 1-hour trend, it's probably going to bleed out, and then you just wait for it to go sideways. Did I think we're going to trade all the way to 12 cents? No. But I've seen this play out a million times on coins. You just literally just wait for them to go sideways. All trends will come down. You'll flip all the trends, and then you can make a new bullish trend where the hourly is here, the 4 hours here, the daily is here, and the weekly is below, and then you can get a new fresh trending asset. Takes time. This is probably your accumulation. You believe in an asset like XPL, and you like the market cap, and you're happy with the kind of tokenomics of it and all these kind of things. This is where you start going, hey, maybe I'll chip away and hope that it starts going sideways. You don't use hard stops. How do you protect yourself from black swan events, 80-hour candles followed by balance, potentially erasing your entire portfolio like the crash of OM Light? So if I don't, I rarely trade like swings now or overnight trades. It's going to be very rare. But yeah, if I'm going to sleep with open positioning, I'll place a stop somewhere. If I'm trading intraday, there's no reason for me to have a hard stop. So when I say hard stops, it's basically like this, right? Let me put it to you like this. Let's say, for example, I make a plan to myself, right? And I say, I want to bid Bitcoin for continuation, right? If it comes into this location, I want to be long. And I say, if we lose the daily VWAP, I'm incorrect. I'm not placing a hard stop for this idea. I'm going to see how price plays out. I'm going to see how flow plays out. This is a trade idea. Whether I execute on this idea or not will depend on the flow in the location. The invalidation for the idea will also depend on how the flow occurs in the location. Whether aggressive participants to the downside are being ultra aggressive, I'm not going to just blindly say, that's my stop loss. And if that price, if that random price that I put it at gets ticked, I'm stopped out of my position. I don't do it like that. But if I am in a long and I'm going to sleep, I'm going to place my stop somewhere so that, like what you said, doesn't happen. I know there's probably a depends answer, but when something goes from a trending to a range-bound asset, how long do you typically see it as a range before trending again? It depends on how the price action in that range starts playing out. Are we going to develop new bullish price action with the context of that range, or are we going to develop negative price action? Are we respecting the next trend in charge, or are we disrespecting the next trend in charge? I'll draw an example. Trending asset. Trend breaks. Next high time frame trend. Tagged. Range happening. This is the first trend. It flattens out, right? Now we're trading above it. We held this one twice. We start tagging and holding this again. Yeah, we just went from a trend to a range where we held support at maybe an order block, maybe a next high time frame trend, and we're able to reclaim the first most dominant trend, right? Now let's draw another example. This one's flattened out, this one's holding, they both converge, we start whipping through both. This is our support region. We held support here, we failed to hold this one, we held it here again, we went back to the highs, both of these flattened out. Now we start trading and we go like this and we drop below support or value area low or whatever, right? Then it's going to go from an uptrend to a distribution to a downtrend. So yeah, like you said, it's going to be an it depends answer, but it's going to be based on local price action, how it's developing in this range. So what you basically say to yourself, if an asset is trending, I trade it like a trending asset. When an asset stops trending, I trade it like a range bound asset. When it starts trending again and holding EMAs and whatever, I'll trade it like a trending asset. When it breaks down below support, I'm not going to just blindly long this, right? If it starts, respecting downtrends, I can trade it again like a trending asset until the next kind of level of interest inspires me, right? Thoughts on BCH? There's a quantum resistant Bitcoin, which is probably going to be a big topic in 2026. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about bullshit narratives like that, dude. We didn't talk about privacy in crypto forever, and all of a sudden, people pretending to care about privacy because ZEC is pumping, right? You need to attach a narrative to price action instead of just admitting to the world that we're just criming up crime coins. BCH is no different, right? We're just gonna spark up a random narrative. We'll crime it up. You'll distribute on people. It'll go to zero or it'll go down a lot. People get left holding the bag. And why are they going to get you to buy BCH up 2x? You need a strong narrative. So quantum resistant Bitcoin, there's your narrative. Privacy, fucking more private Bitcoin, there's your narrative, right? It's just narratives attached to coins that eventually are all going to zero. You know it. But you need to believe in something. So you want to believe in the narrative, at least for the time being. You could do both. You can believe in the narrative for the time being and say, hey, I'll play the bigger fool game here. I know other people are believing in this, so therefore I will believe in it. But in the back of my mind, I know that I have to sell before them. And I'm just going to deploy a simple system. If trend break, then I sell, right? If target hit, then I sell. If market structure intact, I hold. If trend intact, I hold. That's how you play it. How do you enter? You enter at the regime that the coin is providing for you. So the BCH chart, we already looked at this. It's holding the daily trend. You want to bid at the daily trend? Bid at the daily trend, right? We talked about this last week on the stream. Last week on the stream, we covered BCH. Someone asked me about it. I said, don't bid range high, just bid the daily trend. Something like that. I don't know where we talked about it, how we talked about it. Maybe it was here, maybe it was here. Whatever trend was in charge here. There it is, daily trend. Bid the daily trend, bid the daily trend. Up here again, if it drops back down, bid the daily trend. The daily trend fails, it's gonna come to the weekly. You can avoid a little bit of this drawdown, you could bid here. And that's your entry on BCH now. And you can hold this, and it can go crazy. Maybe it trades on the daily trend forever. And then when it loses the daily trend, you say, hey, that's the start of the distribution, I'm out of this coin. GG's, I just made a lot of money. It went up like 2x or whatever, right? Did you cover Fartcoin earlier? No. There's a lot of altcoins that I didn't cover today, but we're coming up on 2 hours, so we're kind of out of time now. How do you typically play narrative strength or sector rotations? Do you get in early inside the trend? I don't bounce around narrative to narrative. I'm not good at that. I don't like that. I have a thread on this, and I'm actually probably going to pull it up. I think it's very important for all you guys to probably read this if you've never read it before. This will help you guys out a lot in your trading. I promise you. Okay, we're going to go to the left monitor here. I know it's a lot of words. It's a lot of words. I'm just going to take it. You can read it in your own time. And I'll drop it in YouTube chat. You can read it on your own time. Basically, what I'm explaining here is that people play the game of crypto wrong. They try to play the rotational game. They try to anticipate narratives. They bounce around from narrative to narrative. Guys, by the time you're already being influenced to chase a narrative, you're already middle of the way through that narrative, right? You could be hyper aggressive, and the first day you hear about it, fuck it, I'm in, let's go, right? That's probably the smartest way to play rotations. The first time you hear about it, I'm in, let's go. You want to be as early as possible. The smartest way, the best way to make money is you ignore 90% of the narratives. You focus on 10% and you position wisely into those 10, right? You say, this is my golden goose. I'm in a position heavily. This is my strong conviction. And narratives will rotate from one to the next, to the next, to the next. Eventually it's my turn. And when it's my turn, I'm catching the entirety of the move. If I'm correct and the market agrees with me, I'm catching the entirety of the move, and I'm not entering here and you know, believing too much here and then trying to exit here and then buy the dip here and then hold this to, like, you're not doing all these games that other people are doing. You actually play it the smart way. So when it comes to narrative trading, I don't bounce around narrative and narrative and narrative because I think that's the quickest way to lose money in crypto, and I think that's why everyone gets crypto wrong. They try to play everything. And they have no underlying conviction in everything, and they buy the story that's being sold about every single coin. So you want to be the smart participant. You want to do research. You want to develop conviction in certain assets. You want to find the best one. You want to project that narrative and position into that narrative and understand when it's going to come to light, and then you trade it. You got to use a couple more brain cells than the average participant. But if you are being influenced by the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, you're jumping from one thing to another. That's why you're like, you leave crypto and you go, damn, there was like 55 things that popped off this cycle. And I have nothing to show for it. That's why. What the fuck? It was already saved in my bookmarks. You know why? Because you saw it in your timeline, you bookmarked it, and you said, this looks interesting, I'll read it later. And then you never read it later. Probably could have saved you $1 or $2 if you put in the 5 minutes that it took to read it back then, no? I'm just kidding. I'm coming down on you. I don't know your personal situation. I'm just using it as an example. But I think that's going to do it for me. We streamed for 2 hours. I got through this. I'm coming off a cold, and I'm pretty surprised that I didn't really cough or anything. So I guess I'm feeling better. Love you guys. See you next week. Thank you for joining me. Better turnout than last week. And then if you missed any of the Bitcoin yap, I think that's the most important thing we talked about at the top of the stream. Everything will be timestamped tomorrow. If you miss anything, come back tomorrow, look for the timestamps, and save yourself a little bit of time. I would appreciate a like and a subscribe on your way out if you want. If you don't, that's cool too. Either way, I'll see you guys next week.
with me.